Every town has a secret street. If you listen closely at midnight, you don't hear the wind. You hear the names of the lost. Welcome. Today we will explore The Whispering Street, an intriguing story to practice your A2 B1 English. Liam was an artist. He lived in a big city, but he hated the noise. He needed a quiet place to work. One autumn day, he found an old, cheap apartment on a street called Willow Lane. The street was very narrow and always felt cold. People rarely walked there. Liam's apartment was perfect. It had high ceilings and a huge window. He began his work happily. However, when night came, things changed. Liam noticed a strange thing. At midnight, the air in the street became completely still. There was no wind, no sound of traffic, only silence. And then the whispers started. The sounds were very soft, like dry leaves moving on the pavement. The whispers never formed clear words, but they sounded like sad, distant voices calling for help. Liam was curious. He spent several nights trying to record the sounds with his phone, but the recording always came out empty. His neighbor, an old woman named Mrs. Petroff, told him to close his windows at night. "Willow Lane is not for listening, dear. It is for sleeping," Mrs. Petroff warned him one morning. One afternoon, Liam was painting the old buildings of Willow Lane. He looked closely at the brick walls. He realized that many of the bricks had strange, faint carvings. They were old, simple letters, like names. Liam took his sketchbook and began to copy the letters he could see. The names were all different: Eleanor, Thomas, Samuel, Rose. There were hundreds of them all over the street. That evening, Liam visited the city archives. He wanted to know the history of Willow Lane. The archivist was a very serious man. "Willow Lane is unusual," the archivist said. "It was the only street that survived the Great Fire of 1888. But before the fire, it was known as the Forgotten Alley." The archivist showed Liam an old map. Liam saw that the Forgotten Alley had been surrounded by a large hospital and an orphanage. They both burned down in the fire. The official record says 50 people died, but many believed the number was much higher. The street was immediately renamed Willow Lane, and people never spoke of it again.
Liam felt cold. He knew the truth. The names carved on the bricks belonged to the people who died in the fire. They were trapped between the past and the present. That night, Liam did not close his window. At midnight, the whispers began again, stronger this time. He held his sketchbook and whispered the names he had copied: Eleanor, Thomas, Samuel, Rose. As he spoke each name, he saw a tiny light leave the brick wall and disappear into the sky. The light was like a tiny, gentle spark. Liam continued whispering the names until the whispers faded away completely. The next morning, the air on Willow Lane was fresh and clean. The street looked ordinary. Liam looked at the brick walls, and the carvings were gone. He knew he had finished his work on Willow Lane. He was ready to paint the big city again. Liam packed his paints. He felt tired but proud. Before leaving, he went to see Mrs. Petroff one last time. The old woman was sitting on her porch, smelling the flowers. Her face was calm. "Good morning, Liam. It is a beautiful day, isn't it? The wind feels different," she said, smiling for the first time. Liam smiled back. "It is very quiet today, Mrs. Petrov. I am leaving the city now." Mrs. Petrov looked at him with knowing eyes. "I knew you would leave when the whispers stopped. My grandfather told me about the fire. He said the street needed someone to remember the names. Now they can rest." Liam understood that Mrs. Petrov had known all along. He had not been the first person to hear the whispers. He was simply the first person to finally listen. He gave Mrs. Petrov his final, unfinished painting of Willow Lane, the one with the high ceilings and the dark shadows. "Keep this," he said. "Maybe it will keep the street quiet." "Thank you, dear," she replied. "The street is quiet now. But remember this lesson. The true purpose of art is sometimes just to give peace to the lost." Liam walked away from Willow Lane. He did not hear the whispers anymore. He heard the normal city noise, and this time it was music to his ears. He felt light, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. He started his new life, knowing that he had created his most important work, not on canvas, but on a cold, quiet street. Thank you for joining us for The Whispering Street. We hope this mysterious story helped you understand the use of past tenses in English. Here are some new words we learned today: pavement, archivist, survived, orphanage, faint, carvings, burden, to fade away. Today, we focused heavily on using the past simple and the past continuous. Example: Liam lived in the city. He was painting the buildings. We also used the past perfect, like he knew he had finished his work. Practice using the past simple and past continuous. We'll see you next time for another story. And remember, always listen to the quiet streets. They have the best stories. Bye.